Hello, everyone. Welcome to my video series on the heroine's journey. I'm Susanna Liller, and it's time to find your happiness. So today I'm going to talk to you about an experience on my heroine's journey, a very recent one. And I'm thinking you'll be able to relate, perhaps. Sometimes we're going along on the journey and something kind of catches us and causes us to sit up and pay attention and think about, okay, what is this telling me? So if I were to title this video, I would title it, I am woo-woo. I am admitting it. I have looked into the definition, which I'll share with you. And yeah, I guess I am. So, but I had to look it up. It is from the dictionary, unconventional beliefs regarded as having little or no scientific basis. And I guess that's the key to a woo-woo. You can't back it up with science, especially those related to spirituality, mysticism, or alternative medicine. So used in a sentence, some kind of metaphysical woo-woo. And using it as an adjective, which actually how it applied to me, which I'll tell you about in a second, relating or holding unconventional beliefs regarded as having little or no scientific basis, especially those related to spirituality, mysticism, or alternative medicine. Here's in a sentence, quartz crystals that were so popular with the woo-woo crowd. So it has happened. I guess it was bound to eventually. I have received my first negative comment to one of my posts. And some of you will think, get over it, Susanna. I mean, people receive many, but this was my first. And yes, it hurt. It did. Initially, it hurt. But as negative experiences go, sometimes as we reflect on them, then you can find good in them. And that's the case with this. It was a good thing that I got outed. The dictionary labels woo-woo as a derogatory term, and it certainly felt that way. My commentator had other things to say too, like that I was not connected to reality. And maybe that's even worse than saying I was woo-woo, but somehow woo-woo bothered me more. And she did say I was a lovey person, and I'm sure she meant lovely. So that was nice. And yes, to your question, did I know her? Yes. I haven't seen her in a long time, and she wasn't really a friend, more an acquaintance. And I always thought she was lovey too. The post that I believe was the trigger for her, which made her want to reach out and say something derogatory, was my post on my circle tool. And that is about the method that I use to help clients focus on what they want, not on what they don't want. And it's a process. I've written a book about it, and I've used it for quite a while. I published that little book in 2009, and the process has helped me a great deal, and others as well. But I am not here to defend myself or that circle process. I'm not here to whine. I'm here to tell you what this opened up for me, her comment and my reflection on it, and why it was good. Forever, since I left my corporate job in 1994, I was two Susannas. I had two websites, one for each Susanna. One was Liller Consulting. That was my business Susanna site. Here's where I would send potential clients for facilitation, mediation work with groups in conflict or those needing a strategic plan. Here's where I laid out my process for executive coaching. My 12 years in management at a large company had laid the foundation for this work, my organizational work. It was the perfect launching pad for me. And I loved this work. I loved meeting fascinating people, so many, and helping them solve problems. I participated in contract negotiations, strategic planning, mediations, all kinds of organizational work, even public outreach work with Federal Highway and the Federal Aviation Administration, where they were required to have a public outreach expert be the go-between between the public and the engineers and Federal Highway or FAA or the main DOT who were doing the project. And I met terrific people there. So I loved that work too, even though that was very challenging at times, but I loved helping people and organizations meet their goals. So in 1994, the year I left my organization and went out on my own, was the start of Liller Consulting. And I continued it, it's hard to believe this, for 27 years. Through the pandemic, finally stopped, and it was hard to stop. I needed to have a coach to help me stop, but it was in August of 2021. 2 years ago, actually, now that I think about it. So all that time, actually starting in 2000, I was also another Susanna, the personal development Susanna for women. I met so many management level women, all kinds of women, not necessarily management level women, who doubted themselves, who lacked self-confidence. When I would ask them at the beginning, what would I be surprised to know about you? They would say, I have low self-esteem. And I was astonished because I knew them. I saw how amazing and capable and bright they were. So I wanted to support them. And that's why I started Ruby Slippers and started with doing personal strategic planning and asking them what they wanted their lives to look like and helping them develop a plan to create that. So my first website for that Susanna, the personal development Susanna, was called Ruby Slippers LLC. And I shared that work initially with two fabulous partners. We offered workshops and retreats to help women create the life they wanted to live. We called our courses Attracting the Life You Want, and spoke regularly within the state, outside of the state, at the Portland Public Library. We gave classes. We were at USM, University of Southern Maine. So that Ruby Slippers website and related work continued to morph for me. My partners, we went our separate ways, morphed, and it's still with me today as Susanna Liller and also as the School for Real Life Heroines, where I use the framework of the heroine's journey to coach and teach about how women can be more, how they really can attract the life they want. And I still use that same personal strategic planning process that I debuted in 2000 in Portland for a conference offered by the University of Southern Maine. So it's well tested. I had then, you can say, two personas, and pretty much the two didn't meet. I kept them separate so that people coming to Liller Consulting wouldn't think of me as too woo-woo. They wouldn't be scared off and think, oh my gosh, this woman does personal development workshops. How can she be the person who stands between us and an angry public at the airport? So they didn't know. They didn't know what I did. They didn't know about the circle process or attracting the life you want. Some did, actually, but a minority. And I did love it when clients from one world, and it was always women, would come visit me in the Ruby Slippers world, come to a retreat, which they did. It was all good and it worked. Both worked, both personas. I discontinued Liller Consulting in August 2021. And that's when I put all my focus into the School for Real Life Heroines and my personal development work with women. And my book getting published, my book, You Are a Heroine, a retelling of the hero's journey, it really kicked this off, this new chapter for me in my self-development business, because that's when I had to start learning a lot of new things, like how to use social media, which was new for me. And I had to go into it all 4 feet and needed a lot of help, which I got and found. And I didn't love it. I did not love it. I love it more now, but I'm a naturally shy person and it was hard to put myself out there. But everyone said, you've written a book, you have to go talk about it. But now people would know, they would know, and what would they think? So for any of you wondering, do I have a critic inside me saying, what would they think? Which in the heroine's journey world, we call threshold guardians. Oh yeah, I have that critical voice, but it didn't seem to matter. My work was accepted, my book sold, so did my online course and retreats. It didn't really matter what they were thinking. But there are people out there who didn't know about me. And I guess this woman, my commentator, she didn't resonate with the personal development Susanna, whom she then, as I've told you, labeled the woo-woo Susanna. So even though I was able to come out of the closet, so to speak, and be myself, someone who used to do this great organizational work and now does this personal development work for women, now I was able to do that, but I guess not without some slings and arrows. And she let me know with those words, you are woo-woo, you are disconnected from reality. And it did, it tilted my world. So I wrote to Kim. This was sort of my initial, oh no, I wrote to Kim, my project manager, and I said, Kim, we have to go. And through the posts they're scheduled to go out on LinkedIn, because that's where most of my old work buddies and acquaintances live. And we have to take out what we might consider woo-woo. And as I think about it, as I thought about it, there could be a lot that my former acquaintance would object to. My blogs on the sacred feminine and me talking about my spiritual path and how I regularly see an acupuncturist, and I guess that's all woo-woo. Or when how about this? I've walked on fire. I've been to the Kripalu Yoga Retreat Center in Massachusetts to take workshops. I go to the Congregational Church, spiritual. That, I guess, is woo-woo. And then there's my Labyrinth facilitator certification. Certainly all of that could be considered woo-woo under that definition, not scientifically proven. There's probably lots more fertile soil for her discontent in my life and what I've done. But what Kim wrote back to me, and Kim is probably maybe she's all of 30 or 31 by now, and very wise. It was genius what she wrote, and so insightful, and just what I needed to hear. And Kim, if you're listening to this, and I think you are, I'm very grateful for you. Me, who is always encouraging the women that I work with to be themselves. Kim wrote to me, Susanna, I actually wouldn't recommend doing this. deleting so-called woo-woo woo-woo stuff from my LinkedIn posts. Let people think and say what they want. What a concept. You can delete those comments, which I will tell you in all honesty, I did delete the woo-woo comment. The fact is, here's the clicker, the clincher. The fact is, you are more woo-woo now. And it's true, because I've been letting out the real me more and more, and what I talk about, what I write about. It's, you get to your 70s and you think, if not now, when? And she continues, and you want the same people who are on the same way, the same path, to find you. And she put find in caps, and pay for your services. They can't do that if you're one way on one platform and another way on another. How wise and true all of that is. So there you have it. I am here, unapologetically myself, and apparently that's woo-woo. So be it. You might have caught my podcast interview with Dr. Jean Bolin. And she writes about archetypes in every woman. She's a psychologist, a Jungian psychologist. So I don't know, she might be woo-woo too. But she inspired me when I spoke with her to travel to Chicago in a week, a little over a week, to attend the Parliament of the World's Religions, which is every 4 years they gather every single religion, and everybody comes and workshops and all kinds of amazing things. And I knew that I had to go. I wanted to meet her personally, but there's going to be many amazing speakers. Jane Goodall is going to be there, and I've always wanted to see her in person. So I can't wait to go and learn and be inspired. I am so at peace. If this is being woo-woo, I'm so good with it. I'm good with letting all my worlds mix. And that feels right. So again, my advice to all of you, be yourself. And thank you for listening. And hey, also subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then you'll get notices when I post a new one of these. And I hope you will continue listening and have a great, great walk along your own heroine's journey. See you next time.